Do you know what really sucks? Is sitting down to edit your project and realizing that you have gaps in your coverage or shots missing. You need to have a really good, specific, and detailed shot list. Head over to filmmakersecrets.com/shot list, SHOTLIST, to get a killer shot list template along with some training where I show you step by step exactly how to use it.
I think one day we were trying to shoot 14 pages. And I remember just being so exhausted at the end of the day. And I remember laying down and just thinking, wow, I hope we got it all.
Filmmakers have the power to evoke emotion, inspire thought, and drive universal change in this world. So how does a filmmaker thrive in an environment that is almost intentionally designed to bring you down? That is the question, and this podcast reveals the answer. What's happening, filmmakers? It's George VK. Welcome to Filmmaker Secrets podcast, episode number 6. And I am so excited to welcome my guest, Nate Baki. He's an actor. He recently directed the feature-length film Man Camp. So Nate, go ahead and say what's up to our filmmakers and reveal the one filmmaker secret you've been keeping from us.
What's up, filmmakers? I'm Nate. The one secret that I have been hiding because I'm greedy is not really a secret at all. It's the most important thing for me as a filmmaker is the performance. So I did kind of think about this a little bit. And I think my secret is to introduce, don't be afraid of a little theater in your life. And by that, I mean working with actors, outside of film, and really getting those reps in on how to talk to actors, how to work with actors. And if you have a chance to do some of those acting exercises yourself, so you kind of have a feeling of what it feels like. Because when you put yourself in an actor's shoes, you start to very quickly understand all the insecurities and how they want to look. And I think that's really important to make them feel comfortable so you can get the best performance as possible. So yeah, how was that?
That's great. I love it. And I'm glad that you launched into that because you have a unique perspective with having acted a lot in theater as well, which I respect a lot because theater was my first love before I started, dabbling with filmmaking. But you also have this separate perspective of a director. So you know the vulnerabilities of each and you can sort of complement each of those roles accordingly. So let's take it way back. I want you to think of your life as a movie. And what was that one aha moment in your past, whether it was if you were a teenager, a kid, a baby, that gave you this calling to create films to serve an audience? What was that one moment?
Yeah, it happened as a baby. No. The actual film part was probably after high school, but I was homeschooled as a child through the 6th grade. But we had homeschool group, and we did a lot of plays. So I acted in a lot of plays, and we were doing like Shakespeare and stuff in people's backyards. And so from an early age, I was kind of already started on that path of kind of like being comfortable in front of an audience. And I really liked telling stories. And I was really into history. And history for me was just stories. But I think when it really happened was I moved to Vail after high school, and I was working for the Vail Ski School. And I was reading a lot of plays and watching a lot of interesting movies that I started to really branch out and just started watching these really cool independent indies. And at that time, in the 90s, indie film was like crazy good. And I had my first digital camcorder that I bought. and I was just making silly little videos with my friends, snowboarding and skiing and doing little skits, and they were really just for our own entertainment. And then a friend of mine that I worked with, she had won a radio contest for tickets to go to the Vail Film Festival. And I had never been to a film festival, never even had thought about going to a film festival. And so we went, and it was really exciting. There was a lot of energy, and there was like movie stars there, and we got invited to go to these parties. So we were just kind of like rubbing elbows with these people in Vail, just having a good time. And it started to really dawn on me, like, that was pretty cool. I wouldn't mind doing that. And shortly thereafter, I went back to my house, and I started looking up film schools and theater schools. And I got lucky that at the time, not anymore, but CU Denver had a theater and a film program. And so I did both. I went and haven't really turned back since.
That's exactly kind of my story for the ending part with, because we went to the same university, and I had no clue what I was doing. I knew I liked theater. I knew I enjoyed making movies. And my theater teacher at the time, Chrissy Martin, suggested to go to UCD because that's where she went. And she said they have a really strong theater and film program kind of combined. And it was like, perfect. That's awesome. I'd love to hear more stories on that, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on, you said film festival, but then as regular consumers of media, we go to the movie theater. What really differentiates those two for you? Like, what makes a film a film?
It's crazy. If film didn't exist and we were trying to invent a film, we would be going, oh yeah, we're going to take all the best aspects of art and we're going to mush it all together. Like, we're going to take theater and photography and audio recording and music, and people will probably look at you like you're crazy. It's one of the hardest things. It's one of the hardest arts ever. And so for me, that's what it is. It's like all these arts that somehow you craft and you put it together for this package. As far as like independent films go, I think I love blockbusters. But independent film specifically, you just get more unique voices that you would never get introduced in, I think, regular movie, big box movie theaters. But you know what? That changes, because then an independent makes it big on some circuit, and then people start to go, oh, people like that. And then they start, marketing it to a bigger audience. So I think independent films can influence bigger films. I think the big guy right now is what I'm going to say his name wrong. The New Zealander, Taiki Waititi.
Not familiar.
He did a bunch of independent films, but he did the latest Thor movie. Oh,
okay.
They were like, he did all these cool independent films, and they were like, dude, we got to get this guy to
let's bring him on. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's make him part of the Marvel family. So that happens a lot. Jon Favreau is another one of those guys. His independent films I just loved growing up, and then now he's like a household name.
Every filmmaker has a different path that they end up going on, but they all seem to kind of coalesce in the similar sort of vein of grinding, working hard, continuing to practice, do the craft. I'm curious how let's transition to the now. We've talked about the past. How did you end up working on Man Camp?
Man Camp was, well, I don't know if the audience cares, but you and I and Daniel Cummings, who you had on your third episode, all went to the same university. And I met Daniel doing a play, and we became good friends, and we kept working on projects during school. And then he moved to LA and I was still kicking around Denver. I tried to like start a little theater company and I was just doing some other stuff. And he called me up one day and was like, hey, I'm writing this script. I mean, this was a long time ago. They've been writing that script for like 8 years or something. So I saw like the first draft. I think it went through like 20 drafts or something. And it just goes to the power of just working with people, because if you're good, they just remember you. And if something pops up, they go, hey, I think you'd be perfect for this. So that's how I got involved with Man Canvas. Daniel thought I'd be really good for it. And so we made it together.
And you were. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I watched it quite a few times, went to the premiere here in Denver at the Denver Film Festival. It was
great to see you there.
Really inspiring to see work like that coming out of Colorado. So thank you, first of all. And second of all, you came in and you adopted the project as a director. What was that like for you, taking on somebody else's script, somebody else's work, and being responsible for this baby?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. And the way I attacked it is because I think a lot of us, when we go to film schools, we really are just stuff that we're writing. I think for the most part. And where the theater comes in and why I brought it up at the beginning is theater, more than film, you're constantly working on other people's stuff. So I attacked it like I was making a play. So I was trying to understand the writer's voice. In this case, it was Dan, Scott, and Josh. And really from there, I was trying to craft it within the constructs of a budget. So I didn't want to change very much, and I didn't, but there were times where I was just like, we have to change it. And that's just a matter of having confidence in your past work and kind of knowing what works and what doesn't work. What works on paper and what works on film sometimes can be different. And I feel like I'm babbling.
No, it's all in the process. I want to hear your pre-production secrets, if you can reveal any. How did you collaborate with the guys and the gals of the crew? Just take me through the whole process, kind of an overview format.
We made like a pitch. So we did, instead of a trailer, we filmed just a scene of the film. And that was the first aspect of working with the actors. And we had a cinematographer from LA, because we filmed it in LA, or not LA, just in the mountains outside of LA. And it was the first time we kind of were working together. So from there, I was gauging like, okay, this is the kind of relationship we're going to have, which was an awesome relationship.
What did you use that scene for? So you pre-shot a scene from a movie that wasn't going to end up in the final project, but what did you use that for?
We used that to crowdfund, and it was a proof of concept, which actually really helped us, because I think Pete Gardner and I think he saw that and was like, oh, okay, I think they have a pretty good idea of how they want to go with this. So that helped. And I think it helped raise a little bit of money. It was really to instill confidence, I think, like, because when you haven't done like a big, I mean, this wasn't even that big, but when you're asking people to invest their time and money into something and they haven't seen you do something on that scale, I think they just want an idea of what you're going to do. So that was the first process. And then rewrites kept happening, and I was in the loop on that. And I'll go, what if you tried this? What if you tried this? And then from there, it went to scheduling, which changed a lot. I think we kept changing how many days we were going to shoot, depending on our situation with our actors and budget concerns. As far as like what I really worked on is Dan had our cinematographer fly out and meet me at the cabin that we were going to shoot at, because most of it took place at this cabin. And we spent like 3.5 days literally going through every scene. Where are we going to shoot this? Where are we going to shoot this? And we were like getting as detailed as like, oh, let's put the lights over here. I mean, we were really breaking it down. Okay, we'll have motivated lighting from over here. And I blocked like 80% of it because we didn't have much time to work on that. So I was like, kind of like acting out the different parts in there and being like, okay, they should cross here. And I just put together the shot list together with him. And then as days kept whittling off our production, I think I altered that shot list 3 times. And then I altered it again when we were actually shooting.
Did that involve cutting shots down?
Yeah, it was nuts. I was literally like, we just ran out of time, and I was just like, okay, we'll do this shot and this shot, and that's how it will be edited. Like, so some of those scenes, I mean, you really couldn't edit it any other way. It was like, all right, we'll just do this and this, and I hope that works, which thankfully it did. But as far as pre-production, actually, one of the programs that I picked up that you introduced me to was ShotLister. And we didn't actually use it for like tracking, making our pages. I had an assistant director doing that on different things. But what it allowed me to do is really, I could pull it up on my iPad and I could really, I had all these notes and all these, I had them all listed there, and I could look at it and go, well, that might not be as important. And so I'd move it down. And I would start ranking my shots, and that really helped me because I was like, okay, well, these 5 I absolutely need. And then I pushed the rest down. I was like, well, if I can get to those, I will. And it also helped me organize my shots because I could lump them with certain lighting that we already had. So it was really helping me keep track of shooting in one direction and then, flipping. The one thing I did not factor, I don't know why, was changing lenses. For some reason.
You expect the cameraman to switch out the lens in 3 seconds.
Right. It didn't even dawn on me that we were shooting with all prime. And it did not even dawn on me how much time. I mean, it doesn't take a terrible amount of time, but it's enough time you're like,
it all adds up.
Yeah, so that was the one thing I was like, well, maybe I should have just had us shoot on like some ingenue zoom lenses. But, the primes look so good. But for other filmmakers out there, just be aware that it takes time.
It takes time, filmmakers.
And I should have known that, but I didn't.
That brings me back to a story of my theater or my senior thesis project called Ideal World back in film school. Yeah. And I didn't account for the time it would take for us to haul all the film gear up the mountain through the snow. And so we ended up going way over schedule and had to spend the night in an abandoned cabin in the middle of the woods, just so we didn't have to haul it all down, just to have to haul it back up again the next day, because we had 2 back-to-back shoots. So I think filmmakers make mistakes often, but it's important to have all your pieces during pre-production set in place so that once you get on set, whatever happens, all the inevitable problems that occur on the actual film shoot, you're ready with plan B, C, D, E, F, so that that you are protected when it comes to actually getting your shots done. And I like your little tip of organizing the shot list by priority, meaning it's okay if we don't get these shots, but these ones at the top are absolutely necessary. It's a fine line when you're trying to get coverage enough for you to have in post-production, but also being efficient on set. I'd love to hear, besides scheduling, what were some of the biggest roadblocks that you encountered and how did you overcome them? Was it that easy?
There were so many. There were so many. I don't know why. I think because I filmed that, 3 years ago? So I think stepping that far back, you start romanticizing it. And you start just letting all those problems go because you're like, well, the project's done. I don't have to worry about it anymore. So, and then you start glamorizing it. Now, that was a great shoot, which it was a great shoot, but it was quick, fast. It was 11 days. 11 shooting days. I think it was like 14 or 15 actual days of working on it.
Let me turn the question. What was your favorite memory from that project?
My favorite memory was just working with all those actors. I mean, I love actors. I like acting. I like working with actors as an actor. I like working with actors as a director. There's just a lot of joy in that. I mean, because you're really kind of like, you get a lot of energy and you're crafting something together and you feel that. And the other crew members are feeling that and they're getting excited, and they're working really hard because they see the potential, and I think that's the funnest part about making films is you just have this like awesome energy. And it's also really scary because like in theater, you kind of get an instant reaction from the audience. You kind of know if it's working or not. And with a film, it's kind of a mystery. Like you've done all this pre-production, you're working hard on filming it, but you really don't know exactly how it's going to turn out until you get into the editing room. So there's like a nervous energy. I remember getting done because I think Dan had mentioned we shot insane amount of pages. I think one day we were trying to shoot 14 pages. And I remember just being so exhausted at the end of the day. And I remember laying down and just thinking, wow, I hope we got it all. And that was a challenge actually, because you can't take that anxiety over to the next day. You just have to be like, well, I just got to have faith that we got it. Because if you take that anxiety over to the next day, you just don't function. You just keep thinking about stuff that you can't change anyway. So just have to let it go.
Talk to me about morale on set as the person that's kind of more or less driving the ship. Everybody's looking to you to keep energy and the momentum of the whole film shoot up. What's your secret?
You know what? I had never had an assistant director before. And that's the secret. You have to have a really good assistant director. Because he kept things just humming along and everyone was in great morale. So there's a lot of it that I didn't even really control, really. He was kind of doing it all. And he was great because he would just bring up issues to me if he thought I actually needed to know about it, which weren't that many. And so his name's Sam Bricker. He's a Denver, Colorado-ish guy. And it was working with him was great, but it's also a fun comedy and the jokes were landing on set. So people, I'm the worst. When I'm acting, I don't break. When I'm the director, I break constantly. I am constantly laughing. I'm constantly walking out of the room. But to be working on something that's fun and funny, it just keeps people's spirits high because they're like, this is great. And then we were doing silly little stunt stuff and we would go back and people would look at the dailies and that would get people really excited because it was like, wow, I can't believe we pulled that off.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think that's all the questions that I really had burning in my head. We got quite a bit of a gamut of content. I appreciate you sharing your insights and your secrets. There have been quite a few golden nuggets. So I thank you, Nate. Last question for you. Well, actually, what's next for you before we end on things on a higher note?
I don't really have anything specific. I've been working on I think the hardest genre of film to make as an independent filmmaker is science fiction. So I've been writing a script about a filmmaker trying to make a science fiction film. But there's another filmmaker that's filming behind the scenes, and that's all part of the story.
That's so meta. I love it.
Yeah, it's super meta. Yeah. So it's kind of it's cutting between the two styles. So I've been writing that. I think it works. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm writing.
Well, keep me updated. I'd love to hear how that goes. Last question for you, Nate.
Yeah.
What is your desert island movie? So if you could only watch one movie for the rest of your life, what is it?
I love that I'm on a desert island with plenty of power and I got a TV And I got a Blu-ray player.
Suspend your disbelief.
So this is awesome. I would probably say The Royal Tenenbaums by Wes Anderson. That movie really changed my perspective on how films could be made. And I know Wes Anderson's like a big, independent guy now, but back then, no one really knew who he was. But he just had so much style, and I just enjoy watching that film. There's lots of different characters.
Amazing. Well, there you have it, filmmakers. Nate Bakke. Check out mancampmovie.com. Nate, where can our filmmakers go to find out more about you?
They can visit. I did start a production company. We haven't really done much lately. It's called Noggin Sauce Pictures, nogginsaucepictures.com. You can check out a little bit about me on there. I have a website, but I took it down, so I need to put it back up. Or they can just, if they want to contact me, just natebakke@gmail.com, or check out mancampmovie.com. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Well, Nate, thank you so much for spending time with me today on Filmmaker Secrets podcast. I appreciate you, and I hope to get more updates and get you back on the show.
Heck yeah, man. Anytime.
Awesome. All right, filmmakers, thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. If you like that, then you are going to love my Cine Racing Challenge. This is a 7-day filmmaking competition where your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to write, shoot, and edit a short 60-second film in just 7 days for your one chance to win with over $10,000 in prizes. So head over to cineracing.com. That's cineracing.com to get registered. Spots are filling up fast, and the timer is ticking before the next Cine Racing Challenge launches. So be sure to head over to cineracing.com right now to get registered. I'll see you over there.